They laughed at humanity's tiny ships. Until the swarm blotted out their stars, the Galactic Council's chambers echoed with chittering laughter as Ambassador Vexithara displayed the holographic projections of humanity's fleet. Compared to the massive dreadnoughts of the Corvallian Empire or the kilometer-long bioships of the Hive Collective, Earth's vessels looked like toys, sleek, compact craft barely 200 meters in length. These insects, wheezed High Chancellor Mordak through his breathing apparatus, dare to request membership in our council with such pathetic offerings? His massive form, encased in ceremonial armor that could house a small human family, shook with mirth. What threat could such tiny gnats pose to anyone? The other representatives joined in the mockery. The crystalline Zephyrians resonated with harmonic derision, while the gas giant-dwelling Nephilim pulsed their bioluminescent bodies in patterns of contempt. Even the normally stoic Andromedan collective's mechanical voice carried a hint of electronic amusement. Captain Sarah Chen stood silently at the podium, her weathered face betraying no emotion as the ridicule washed over her. She had expected this reaction. Humanity's approach to space warfare was unconventional. Honored Council, she began once the laughter subsided, her voice carrying clearly through the translation matrix. We understand your skepticism. Our ships may appear small by your standards, but we believe effectiveness matters more than size. Effectiveness? Ambassador Vexithara's serpentine neck coiled in amusement. Child, the Corvallian dreadnought Worldbreaker alone masses more than your entire fleet. Its shields could withstand the combined firepower of every warship you possess, Chen nodded respectfully. Perhaps. But with respect, Ambassador, when did the Corvallians last face a real threat? When did any of you? The chamber fell silent. It was a fair question. For millennia, the great powers had maintained their dominance through overwhelming force and intimidation. Their massive vessels served more as symbols of power than instruments of war. The last major conflict had been centuries ago, and it had been decided by sheer mass. Whoever could build the biggest guns won. Humanity, Chen continued, has spent our entire existence fighting for survival. Not against overwhelming alien empires, but against something far more dangerous, ourselves. We perfected the art of war not through building bigger ships, but through building smarter ones. High Chancellor Mordak's breathing apparatus hissed dismissively. Pretty words, human. But words do not win battles. When the Devourers inevitably return from the galactic rim, your smart little toys will be swept aside like debris. The Devourers? Chen's eyes sharpened. She had read the classified reports about the ancient enemy that had driven the council races to unite in the first place. How many ships did they field in their last incursion? Millions, replied the Andromedan Collective's spokesman, its optical array focusing on her. Perhaps tens of millions. They reproduced their vessels like a virus, overwhelming all opposition through sheer numbers. And how did the council defeat them? By sacrificing half our combined fleets to eliminate their primary nest worlds, Vexithara answered grimly. We learned that concentrated firepower against key targets was the only effective strategy. Chen smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. Concentrated firepower against multiple targets simultaneously. That's exactly what humanity specializes in. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. The great viewing screens around the chamber lit up with urgent tactical displays. Ships, thousands upon thousands of organic, twisting vessels, were emerging from hyperspace. At the system's edge. Impossible, breathed High Chancellor Mordak. The Devourers aren't due to return for another century. The tactical display showed the enemy fleet spreading like an infection across space. Easily 50,000 vessels, each roughly the size of humanity's ships, but clearly designed for rapid reproduction and overwhelming assault. Behind them, larger ships the size of Council dreadnoughts emerged as mobile spawning platforms. All Council fleets converge on Station Prime immediately, Vexithara commanded, her earlier mockery forgotten. We need every ship we have. With respect, Chen interjected, already moving toward the chamber's exit. You'll want to keep your heavy ships back. Let us handle this. Are you insane? Mordak roared. Your entire fleet couldn't scratch the paint on one of their spawning ships. Chen paused at the doorway, her expression deadly serious. High Chancellor, you asked about effectiveness. In 10 minutes, Earth fleet will demonstrate the difference between building ships to intimidate and building them to kill. The Council. Representatives watched through the station's sensors as humanity's tiny fleet arranged itself in a formation unlike anything they had ever seen. Instead of the traditional battle lines favored by Council races, the human ships dispersed into small hunter-killer groups, each moving with predatory grace toward the enemy swarm. Then the Earth ships opened fire. What the Council had dismissed as inadequate weapons revealed their true nature. Each human vessel carried not traditional energy cannons, but something far more sinister, swarms of microscopic nanite torpedoes, each one capable of self-replication and target acquisition. The humans had weaponized the same principle the EI devourers used for reproduction. The first wave of nanites struck the enemy vanguard and began multiplying exponentially. Within minutes, entire sections of the devourer fleet were dissolving from within, as the mechanical plague consumed their organic hulls. But that was only the beginning. Each human ship carried hundreds of different nanite variants, some designed to disrupt electronics, others to consume specific materials, still others programmed to hunt for particular energy signatures. The humans didn't just have weapons, they had an entire ecosystem of technological predators. Magnificent, whispered the Andromedan collective as they watched the devourer fleet begin to collapse. They're not fighting the swarm, they're outswarming it. The battle lasted less than an hour. By the time the Council's heavy fleets arrived, the enemy was in full retreat, their spawning ships consumed by clouds of nanites that continued to multiply and spread. The few devourer vessels that escaped did so only because the humans recalled their weapons before they could spread beyond the immediate battle zone. In the aftermath, as debris fields marked the graves of an ancient enemy, the Council chamber was silent except for the soft hum of life support systems. Captain Chen stood once again at the podium, but this time, no one was laughing. The application for Council membership, she said quietly, remains on the table. We believe we can contribute to galactic security, assuming the Council is interested in effectiveness over appearance. High Chancellor Mordak was the first to speak, his voice heavy with newfound respect. Ambassador Chen, humanity's fleet designation is hereby upgraded to Council Defense Force Primary. When can we expect the first joint training exercises? Chen smiled. Whenever you're ready to learn, Chancellor, but I should warn you, our methods can be quite different from what you're used to. Different? Vexithera mused, watching the tactical displays as human nanites continued their methodical cleanup of the battlefield. Is exactly what the galaxy needs. Outside the station's viewports, humanity's tiny ships continued their patrol, no longer dismissed as insignificant toys. In a universe where bigger had always meant better, Earth had proven that sometimes the smallest predator was the most dangerous of all.